好，安静一下大家，然后各位学长、同学们、学弟妹们，还有老师们，大家早安。
早安。
然后今天这场演讲是由朱向泰，我们系上老师朱向泰老师安排的。然后，这是一位波兰人，然后他名字叫，他是来自巴黎师范学院的，名字叫 Wladkowski。然后我们大家来欢迎他，今天来做一个主题为那个波兰的民间音乐对那个。肖邦风格的影响 ，OK， 谢谢。
Thank you very much for coming such a big number to hear me play and to talk about Chopin and Poland. I would like very much to thank my friend and colleague, Professor Chu, for generously inviting me.
我们的翻译老师是林继颖老师，他是非常专业的这个翻译，翻得非常的好，我们对他拭目以待。
And I would like to say that I'm very, very happy and thrilled to be with you and at your beautiful university and the beautiful campus, and also in the beautiful Taiwan and the city of Taipei, which I think is very beautiful. Thank you very much.
这位教授呢，首先呢，非常谢谢今天有这么多的老师同学可以拨空来听他谈，听他讲讲肖邦音乐在波兰的发展，还有它的影响。他非常感谢朱老师这一次呢，请他来演讲请他跟大家见面。那也非常喜欢台湾这个美丽的地方，还有这整个校园，让他如沐春风他非常的开心，今天可以跟大家在一起。
I was trying to think how I could introduce my subject of Poland, national style, and Chopin with a special twist for you. And yesterday, somebody told me it was the birthday of Confucius, so it was Teacher's Day. And that gave me the idea how I can explain something very special to you about Chopin and Poland.
老师说呢，今天讲的题目呢是肖邦的音乐跟波兰他们民族音乐之间的关联及发展。他昨天呢在想说，他们两个如何融合在一起，这个课题他应该用什么样的方式来跟各位同学解释比较清楚。刚好昨天有同学跟他说，昨天是我们孔子的诞辰，就是教师节。突然他就有一个很好的 idea 跟大家分享。
So my idea is Chopin is, you all love Chopin, I love Chopin, and also we all, for the whole world, Confucius is very important, but I imagine for you, it's important in a different way, and for me, Chopin Confucius is also important for me. I read also many things, but it's different for me than for you. And Chopin also, you love it, I love it too. I love it differently, and it's normal. But I would like to say, I'm sure that you could tell me many things about Confucius and Chinese culture. So today I'm going to talk about Chopin and Polish culture.
老师说呢，肖邦的音乐你喜欢，我也喜欢，但是呢，我们是以各自不同的方式、不同的角度去欣赏、去敬仰肖邦这个人与他的音乐那就如同大家对孔子的敬仰，跟他对肖邦的敬仰是一样的，只是从不同的角度跟面向来切入。那他今天呢，就跟大家来分享了他对于这个议题的一些看法。
So you can almost, I'm going to say something, and you can almost substitute Confucius in Chinese culture for Chopin and Polish culture. We can pose the question, did Polish culture create Chopin, or did Chopin create Polish culture? And you can also say, did Confucius create something important in Chinese culture, or did Chinese culture create Confucius?
今天呢，我们来看这个主题，到底是波兰的音乐文化影响了肖邦的音乐发展，还是肖邦的这个音乐上面的创作创新影响了波兰的音乐发展？就如同是我们的这个孔子在中国文化上面的创建啊，是继承于中国文化，还是他的创建呢是从中国文化而来
So I think that in the case of any great genius, he is reacting to the situation of his time, to what is around him, and also he is reacting to the many generations before him. So there's a collective, many generations are coming, and a culture is like a collection of reactions, physical reactions, and psychological reactions that become almost like codes over time.
肖邦的音乐呢，在这个波兰历史上面的发展，是对于他之前所有时代音乐发展的一种反应。我们可以说这是一种因果关系，而他可以说是一个集前人经验的一个大成者。而这个大成者，这个反应呢，是反映在他的不仅是肢体上面对弹奏技术的操纵，也反映在他的知识上面，音乐哲学上面的反应。所以我们可以看到呢，他们其实是非常密切相关的。
So I'm not trying to say that Chopin is only can be understood by Polish people, or I'm sure you would agree, Confucius is only for Chinese people.
老师说，肖邦呢，其实并不是只是对于波兰人来讲他是肖邦，对全世界的人都是如此的，就如同孔子对全世界的人类意义是一般的。
But and you know, I want to tell you something. You know, we have the Chopin competition in Warsaw since I think the first one was 1938, and of all the competitions, people still talk today. The greatest performer of the mazurka, which is Polish dance, was Futsung in 1956. No one could play these pieces like him. How can you explain that? So it's because it's universal, but it's coming from one place, but because the genius is so high, it speaks to all the souls and the hearts of all people.
我们都知道呢，第一届肖邦的钢琴大赛呢是1938年的时候呢开始成立的。他说呢，如果讲到这些非常伟大的演奏家弹奏肖邦的马祖卡舞曲的时候，我们一定不能忘记1939年傅聪的演奏，他的马祖卡舞曲这是一绝到现在呢都没有人能出其右非常表现杰出。那所以你怎么解释这个呢？傅聪是一个中国人，但是呢他弹这个波兰的音乐我们都知道马祖卡舞曲是波兰的舞曲。他能够诠释的这么深入，能够针针见血，那你说这个不得不成肖邦的这个音乐的天分跟天才已经是全人类共通的语言他不需要是波兰人才能够了解的，是大家都能够了解、欣赏及景慕的。
So, my idea for our meeting today is I'm going to play and then talk, and also if anybody has a question or wants to say something, please feel free so it can be special. I'm not just standing here and saying I know everything, and it's not the idea, okay? So I would like to play you a mazurka of Chopin.
他今天进行的方式会是一边弹一边讲，所以呢，各位同学如果有任何的问题，也非常欢迎各位同学提问。
It's on? Okay. So this, you might say, well, that's a dance. Yes, it's a dance, and it's a very special dance. And when I was thinking about how I wanted to, what pieces I would talk about today, I thought I want to talk about the mazurkas because it's the pieces that most pianists are afraid to play. Everybody wants to play, okay, the waltzes and the nocturnes and preludes and scherzos and ballades. And of course, etudes. We all have to play it. And people are somehow afraid to play the mazurkas. They think it's the, you know, but you don't think it's beautiful? Yes, it's beautiful. But it has special problems. And this is where, oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
老师说呢，大家都可以听得出来，刚刚这一首是舞曲。他说这是一首非常特别的舞曲。他说这也是大家演奏家都非常害怕要表演的曲目。讲到肖邦钢琴音乐，大家知道，你会弹华尔兹舞曲，你会弹这个夜曲叙事曲、练习曲，当然诙谐曲。但是呢，讲到这个马祖卡，它呢牵涉到特别的演奏上面的技术还有内涵，所以他想今天讲什么好呢？那就以这个主题来跟大家分享。
How many people are pianists here?
这边有多少位是钢琴家？主修钢琴的同学，主修钢琴的同学请举手，谢谢。
Wow. So we're all big family. Okay. How many people have played the first scherzo of Chopin?
谁有弹过肖邦第1号诙谐曲呢？
Only one person? 2? No one else played first scherzo of Chopin?
没有其他人弹了吗？你们害怕举手吗？
Okay. Okay, I want to tell you something because, you know, some people think that influence, national influence is only real melodies that people sing.
老师说呢，有人这么认为，说真正的这个音乐能够影响的就是旋律本身。
And in the first scherzo of Chopin, there is a real melody that people sing. It's a Christmas carol.
在协奏曲不是在诙谐曲第1号呢，那里真的是有一个旋律，这个通常人们在唱的那个就是他们的圣诞的颂歌。
So I'm just going to play the middle part of the scherzo.
老师现在要弹这一首诙谐曲的中段。
This is the middle part of the scherzo. And every Christmas Eve, every person, Polish person, sings this song. Every person.
所以这中段的这个旋律呢，在波兰每个圣诞夜的时候，大家都会唱这个旋律。
If you know that, actually, when did Chopin write the scherzo? He had to leave Poland, and and I want to tell you something about the historical context, but it was the first time he was very close to his family. It was the first time he was not at home with his family at Christmas. So he wrote this piece. So it's, you know, when you play it next time, you remember, it's heartbreaking. His heart is broken. And the beginning, the first 2 chords of the scherzo are this.
我们都知道呢，肖邦呢，在他成长的过程跟家人的关系是非常亲近的。而我们如果知道这一首诙谐曲创作的时间，就会知道这是他第1次离开家，他第1次呢，圣诞夜的时候没有办法跟家人在一起，所以这个旋律是非常令人心痛的。我们现在听这个第1乐章前面的2个和弦。
This is how the scherzo begins.
这是这首如何开始的。
And it's very anguished piece.
是非常焦虑的。
And in the middle, then he's thinking about, it's obvious, he's thinking about at that moment his house and his family.
他非常明显的在中段的这个时候呢，他是在想怀念他的家乡，怀念他的家人。
Okay, so I don't want this, I have to tell you a little bit something about Polish history because it's very important. At one time in 16th century, Poland was the biggest country in Europe. You can't imagine now, but you know, things change. Things change.
我们知道呢，我们现在必须要讲一点点波兰的历史。在16世纪的时候，波兰当时候是欧洲的最大的国家。或许同学们现在很难想象，但是这是事实。
And in the 18th century, you have on one side Russian Empire, and on the other side German Empire and Austrian Empire. And they decide everybody will have one part. And so each,
OK， 在18世纪的时候呢，我们知道波兰它其实呢，这边是俄国，这边是德国，下面呢是奥匈帝国，所以他们这些大的帝国呢，就决定要入侵、瓜分这个波兰。
So first they didn't take everything, but only each country took part. This was the first partition.
这是第一次呢，波兰被瓜分，每个国家呢都拿了一部分波兰的土地还有主权。
And then 10 years later, second partition, more.
然后第二次呢，在10年之后，这个他们瓜分的土地呢，就比第一次呢更多了。
And then third partition, nothing.
好，第三次呢，他们在进行入侵跟瓜分的时候呢，就停止了。波兰已经没有自己的土地跟主权了。
So 123 years, no country, didn't exist, nothing.
所以有长达123年呢，波兰这个国家是不存在的了，已经消灭了，已经消失了。
Until after World War I, then they decided to Europe, League of Nations and Versailles Conference. They decided again that this country should exist, and it became again country after 123 years.
因为一直到呢第一次世界大战之后我们知道在联合国开会的时候呢，这个波兰这个国家呢才又被正式的承认，所以在第一次世界大战之后，它重新独立，那现在这个波兰这个国家才又重新存在。
So this is the context of Chopin. When Chopin was born, there was no country. He was Polish, but there was no Poland, no country. So you know, this was a big influence for him, very heavy influence.
所以呢，我们知道，当肖邦呢，出生的时候，他就是处在这样的环境下，他是波兰人，但是没有波兰这个国家。我们可以了解呢，这对他的音乐创作带有多么深刻的影响在里面。
The second influence, see, because every artist is influenced by what is happening today. So I'm sure if Chopin was born today, he would write obviously different music. It's not because, not only because the musical language has changed and developed, but his situation is different.
我们都知道呢，任何艺术家在进行创作的时候呢，都一定无可避免的会受到周遭的环境，还有前面的人所留下来的经验的影响。 我们可以想象，如果肖邦呢，他是出生在现在这个时候，他做的音乐绝对会跟当时不一样。为什么？因为呢，影响他的元素是不同的。好。
And the second influence, very important for Chopin, was the serfs. You understand? You know, there were many people. They belonged to the nobles. They couldn't leave. It was a feudal system, and they wanted their freedom. So you know, so Poland wanted the freedom, and all of these people, millions of people, they couldn't go anywhere. They were just like slaves of the nobles. They wanted their freedom.
所以第二个呢，对肖邦影响很大的呢，就是封建制度之下的这种阶级制度。这个阶级制度呢，他说上面呢有贵族，其他的人呢几乎在这个体系里面呢都是奴隶。他们要的是什么？要的就是独立，要的就是自由。但是非常不幸的，他们没有办法拥有这一块。
So Chopin, he was very influenced. This was what was happening in his day. And I think, you know, for me, as a person, and I'm suggesting this to everybody here, you know, what our example from Chopin is how his personal reaction to the events of his time was of such great nobility. It's really an example for us as human beings, not only as artists, but just as human beings.
所以呢，我们可以看到呢，肖邦他的音乐创作呢，基本上是对于这个大时代的一个环境所做的一个反应，所做的一个呼应。那我们可以听出来呢，他的音乐呢是非常具有人性的啊，在几乎可以说是非常高贵的。而这个高贵并不是说是贵族的血统上面的高贵，而是人性上面的高贵。
So I'm going to play it. That's why I really want to play today mazurkas, because you don't get a chance to hear them a lot, and it's, you know, the one I played was the first mazurka of Chopin. 15 years old he wrote. He was old.
所以这是为什么呢？我今天很想跟大家介绍这个肖邦的波兰的马祖卡舞曲。刚刚我弹的那一首呢，其实就是肖邦呢在15岁所做的第一首的马祖卡舞曲。
And I would like to play another mazurka now for you.
老师现在要弹另外一首马祖卡舞曲。
I don't know if you know, I'd like to talk about certain things in this piece that show the influence of the folklore in Poland on Chopin's music.
我想要借这首曲子呢，来探讨更多有关于波兰的民族音乐跟他的这个音乐作品上面的关联。
So, I think one of the reasons that the folklore in Poland, also in Russia, was so rich. Also, for example, in Spain, it was very rich folklore, was because the industrialization of the country came very late. It was very poor countries, so and that's the bad side, but the good side is they kept all the folklore because the people were still living in the villages. So they had France, no folklore. Germany, no folklore. Nothing, you know, because everybody was already living in the cities, working, and, you know, so they developed a middle class. I'm not, you know, it's good, but no folklore. So, for example, Poland and Russia and Spain, these are the countries that have all of this beautiful music because the composers in the 19th century, they had all of this. It was still there.
好，波兰呢拥有非常珍贵的而且庞大的民族音乐的资产啊，就像是俄国一样，也像西班牙一样。为什么他们能够保留这么多美好的音乐的文化呢？最主要就是因为呢工业化的晚。他说像德国工业化的早当然生活很方便，但是它就没有这些东西存在了所以我们可以想象19世纪的音乐家，他生活在这样子的环境里面，这些民族的音乐素材是随手可得的，那可见对他的音乐会造成多大的影响。
So, one of the things about the mazurka, and there are actually, it includes other dances, mazurka, kujawiak, and oberek. These are the three main Polish dances.
有3种最主要的波兰的舞曲 kujawiak 就是它马祖卡有3种，还有 oberek 和马祖。
Bravo. Okay. So the strange thing is that in these dances, the second beat or the third beat is very long.
在这些舞曲里面呢，它的特色是第2拍跟第3拍呢是稍微长一些的。
But it's written in 3, but you just have to play the third beat or the second beat long. You just have to know when.
所以呢，在弹奏跟诠释上面的技巧就在于，它这个舞曲写的是3拍但是你在演奏的时候，第2拍跟第3拍呢就必须要弹得长一些。但是问题来了，到底什么时候该弹长一些呢？
And you know, a lot of people, I think that's the problem with mazurkas. A lot of very good musicians, they don't feel comfortable with it. And you know, one of the greatest Chopin players of all time was Alfred Cortot, who founded the school where I thought he never would record any mazurka. He said, I don't feel, and he knew Chopin better than anybody. He said, I don't feel comfortable with it.
所以我们知道呢，这个演奏马祖卡舞曲是一件非常需要高深品味跟了解的一个弹奏的技术，在后面才有办法支持的。我们知道呢，在世界上一个非常有名的弹奏跟研究肖邦音乐的专家一个法国人 Alfred Cortot， 我们把它翻成科尔托这个科尔托呢，谁会比他更了解肖邦的音乐在做什么呢？但是呢，他在这个老师现在教的这个学校，这个科尔托呢是创办者，他就曾经说了，他就说要录这个马祖卡吗？谢谢，不用了，我不觉得我有这么足够的信心可以去表现这个马祖卡舞曲。
And you know, there's a very famous story. I don't know, maybe it's not famous for you, but it's famous for me. There was a French composer, Meyerbeer, very popular for operas, and he was a good friend of Chopin. And so one day he came to Chopin's house in Paris and said, you know, can you play me something new that you wrote? And Chopin said, oh, I just wrote some new mazurkas. And so he played, and Meyerbeer said, it's not in 3, it's in 4.
啊，老师要跟大家讲一个，对他来讲是非常有名的故事啊。大家都知道马尔贝尔啊，他是一个法国的音乐家，他专精在这个歌剧上面。他跟肖邦是好朋友，有一天他就到肖邦家了，然后就问他说：“哎，你能不能弹一些曲子给我听听啊？”肖邦说：“哦，没有问题啊，我刚写了新的马祖卡舞曲，所以他弹给他听。”然后马尔贝尔就说：“这不是3拍啊，这是4拍啊。”
So Chopin said, no, it's in 3. And Meyerbeer said, no, it's in 4. So Meyerbeer is counting 1, 2, 3, 4. So Chopin said, no, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
所以呢，这个马尔贝尔跟肖邦呢，就对于这个拍子上面有争论，一个说是3拍，一个说是4拍，说马尔贝尔属于1、2、3、4，但是肖邦属1、2、3，所以就知道他们的差异在什么地方。
So I'm going to play now a couple of mazurkas. So, and I want you to listen to where it's not always. You have to know where, you know. And the beauty of it is that it's always different, you know. And this is what bothers a lot of people, and also teachers teaching it. They feel uncomfortable with, you know. So, but if anybody ever wants to learn a mazurka, come to me. I feel very comfortable with it. You know, no, you have to, and it doesn't mean that I'm right, you know, but you have to allow yourself. It's not just doing anything, but you have to allow yourself to try to understand the idea of the, because it's based on somebody, you have to see somebody dancing it.
所以现在呢，老师呢就要为我们弹奏了几首马祖卡的舞曲哦。那这个困难的地方在这个地方，并不是总是呢在第3拍的时候呢，它就会比较长一些。所以重点是大家是不是能够欣赏、能够辨别、能够知道在什么地方哦，它是比较长一点的时间啊在表达。那这个呢这个问题，因为它不是总是这样，它是具有变异性的。所以在教学上，在演奏上，这就形成一个独特的见解或者是概念需要去突破的。但是呢，他说很多老师都没有足够的信心，但是他倒是觉得很有信心哦。他说不是说他总是对的，但是呢，也欢迎同学呢，就是尝试去了解他所建构出来的这个肖邦的音乐。那有什么问题也都可以跟他请教，也可以跟他学马祖卡。
So I'm going to play 3 different mazurkas, very different, and you know, the left hand is always like this. It's written like this, for example. But very often I'm doing. So you just try to catch it, and you know, if you come into it, once you catch it, it's so wonderful. So I hope you enjoy them.
老师现在呢要弹3首非常不同的马祖卡。刚刚老师有示范呢，第一个他弹的这个例子呢就是谱上写的，但是通常他会处理成第2种的情况。那我们现在来欣赏哈。
make a little experiment. It's not to prove that my way, I'm not saying my way is better, but I would just like, for example, to play the beginning of 2 of those pieces, just like it looks like in the book, okay? And I want you to hear the difference.
老师现在呢要弹呢其中2首的前面一个乐段，他想做一个小小的实验，所以他等一下弹的这个呢就会按照谱上写的弹，大家欣赏一下，比较一下其中品味上面的不同。
And I will try to play well, but I don't try to play ugly, but I try to play well, but just the way it looks.
好，老师会尝试弹很好 ，Sorry。
No, no. Which is better?
所以呢，透过2个呢不同的弹法，大家也可以自己决定，看你比较喜欢哪一种。好。
I have to say something that I think that when we're thinking about, it can be about Chopin or Confucius or great philosophers and artists, they form how we think and how we feel and how we react. And I'm sure for all of us pianists, how we think about music, how we feel music, we owe so much to Chopin. I mean, we all have the moments where great emotion when we hear it, it formed, and also with philosopher or, I keep coming back to Confucius, what would the life be without his ideas? He forms, so it's interaction between us and these great spirits, great souls.
好，老师呢还希望呢再强调一点，他说不管是萧邦也好，孔子也好，或者是这些伟大的哲学家们也好，他们的这些创建，还有他们的成就，其实影响了我们的想法，影响了我们的见解，而也影响了我们的行为。你可以想象，如果没有孔子的这些创建，我们该如何生活？我们生活的模式会产生什么样的改变？所以呢，这个是就这些伟大的艺术家跟哲学家，还有我们这个现代的人，透过他的作品，透过他的想法，跟他进行了一种沉默的交流，而这个交流呢，影响我们非常的大，我们实在是赞叹不已，也亏欠他们非常的多。
She's just great. I can't believe how she is a fantastic translator. Just so lucky, huh? Really. So I think, that every artist, he has several influences. He has the influence of where he lives and the history of the previous generations and the situation right now, the reality right now. And then he also has the historical, the style of the moment. So in Chopin's case, he loved Bach, he loved Mozart, and he loved Italian opera. He loved Bellini, he loved Donizetti, he loved the beautiful melodies. And so he had the influence of the national style, the national elements, the historical reality of where he was living, where he was born. He had the historical influence of Bach and Beethoven and Mozart and Bellini, Donizetti, all of these great musicians. And thanks to that, he arrived at number 3 himself. But no one comes from nowhere. We all come from, you know, we're all branches of a tree, and the tree didn't start to grow yesterday, you know, or it didn't exist only when we came. It was there a long time before, and we hope that it will be there a long time after us. And so the topic of my class, I could do another one about opera influence and influence of Bach and so forth. But I want to stay, oh, I'm talking too much, okay, with national style. So, okay, and the next, I want to talk about Polish folk song, because it's also the music of Chopin. It's not only the dance. Somebody once said that the Polish people, they learn to dance before they learn to walk, because they like to dance. I don't know, okay, but usually.
好，老师在这里呢讲到，说所有伟大的艺术家，其实呢，他们都是深受他们当时候所处的社会环境的影响，以及在他们之前过往的这些历史文化的传承，他们呢，是没有办法可以跟这些分割的。那我们知道的是，肖邦喜欢巴哈，他喜欢莫扎特，他喜欢贝利尼，他喜欢那个东尼策迪。 好，这些都是影响他非常非常深的音乐家，而我们在这个里面也可以看到呢，非常幸运的肖邦呢成为这第3号，可以影响到我们后世的这个音乐家。所以呢，这些其实都是不可分割的，因为这些不可分割，所以才有现在的我们。我们就如同呢是这个历史的大树上面的分支。 而我们非常希望，在未来里面，这棵大树还能够继续成长、继续茁壮啊！这个是我们人类的音乐文化如何延续一个非常重要的课题。那第二个呢，讲到这个非常重大的影响呢，就是我们知道呢，它受到波兰的这个民族文化，尤其是舞曲上面的影响。 波兰人说呢，他还不会学走路之前就先学会跳舞了啊，所以可见呢，跳舞这件事情呢，对他们的影响有多么的大。老师说他其实也会跳一些啊，所以呢，我们现在来看看这个东西呢，对肖邦的影响重要性在什么地方。那当然，他还可以另外再讲到说，这个肖邦的音乐对后世、对现在的影响是什么，或者讲到这个巴哈的影响，或者是其他诸如此类的课题，因为所有的东西都是不可分的。但今天我们就会先 focus 在肖邦这一部分。
Now I'd like to play a mazurka that's from the end of Chopin's life, and this mazurka, you know, at the end of Chopin's life, he only lived until 38. So, but it's like Schubert and Mozart and Mendelssohn, these great geniuses. I saw in the bathroom. Excuse me, but it's so fantastic thing, you know. It said, life is not measured. I mean, all the men here maybe saw it. Life is not measured in time. It's measured in thought and action. I mean, what a fantastic bathroom you have here. I'm standing there. I read life. It's so deep. Life is measured not in time, but in thought and action. And so it's true. And so Chopin, already at 36 years old, 2 years before he died, he is playing this, he wrote this mazurka, and it has many elements of different forms.
老师接下来呢，要为我们演奏呢，这个算是肖邦晚期的创作生涯里面的一首马祖卡。这首曲子呢是在他死前2年所做的啊。那他说他碰巧去用了我们的学校的这个洗手间，我们的洗手间上面呢有一句话，他觉得写得非常的好。他说人生呢不是以时间来衡量的，而是以人的见解还有行动来衡量。非常赞叹我们这个文化有这么好的这样子的想法，连洗手间里面都是这样充斥着名言，他觉得这实在是讲得太对了啊。那所以呢，他的确在音乐的行为上面，他的确也是这个样子的。所以他现在呢要来跟我们分享这首曲子。
So the very specific and important thing that was happening in Chopin's form at the end was he was combining different forms. So in the, for example, the Polonaise fantasy, you get fantasy, you get mazurka, you have nocturne, you have everything. Now in this mazurka that I'm going to play, it's mazurka, but it has elements of Polonaise. It has elements of ballade, it has elements of waltz, it has elements of nocturne. So the boundaries between the forms are becoming erased, and it's becoming, there's a kind of epic quality about it.
接下来呢，老师要为我们介绍的曲子呢，它其实呢是融合不同种的曲式的元素在里面，就像是这个肖邦的钢琴作品 OP61 Polonaise Fantasy， 我们知道呢这里面是波兰舞曲，我们知道这里面有幻想曲的成分，但是如果你看这首曲子，你也知道这里面有马祖卡的成分，有夜曲的成分在里面。在这首曲子，在现在要弹的这首马祖卡舞曲里面，我们也可以看到肖邦呢他不是这一首不是只是马祖卡而已。你同样的有其他的元素，有夜曲的元素，有华尔兹的元素，有波兰的元素在里面。而这些不同的曲式还有元素相融合的时候，渐渐的，这个它们之间的这个 boundary， 就是它的这个边界，还有它的界限已经模糊掉了，甚至被消除掉了。这个是肖邦的在这个音乐创作上面的一个非常大的突破。
So here, I'm sure that you are aware, it doesn't sound like even, there's just from time to time comes a mazurka as a kind of remembrance, and there's there's polonaise and nocturne, and in all of this is what makes very difficult for everybody. The end of Chopin is very because the music is so dense, it's deep music, so we have to go very deep to get the thought.
所以呢，我们从这首曲子里面呢，我们可以看到，这个 Mazurka 的形式呢，它的这个节奏并不是总是在那里的，它中间呢还穿插了好像波兰舞曲在里面，然后也穿插了夜曲的 elements 在里面。那我们可以看到，肖邦晚期的音乐之所以困难处理跟诠释，就在这个地方哦。为什么呢？因为你必须呢抽丝剥茧的。 然后直到这个音乐的核心里面，你必须要能够深入了解这各式风格的原始的样貌，还有它混合之后的样貌。那这样子呢，才能够对他晚期作品的了解有所掌握。
I'd like to finish with two very short mazurkas from the end of Chopin. At the very end of his life, the mazurka was becoming more, as we talked about Kujawiak and Oberek. The Kujawiak was the slow dance and sad dance, and the Mazurek had this, and Oberek very fast. So at the end, he was not happy. So he was writing very, it's tragic. It's not even that it's not happy, it's tragic music. Because that was what he was feeling. So before maybe if you have some questions, I would like to play two of these mazurkas from the very end of Chopin's career.
现在呢，老师呢在结束之前呢，想以肖邦晚期的作品里面的2首马祖卡来献给大家哈。这2首马祖卡就如同我们先前所讲过的，马祖它有3个形式，一个是 Kujawiak， 那 Kujawiak 是比较快比较慢的舞曲，然后 Mazurka 只是比较稍微中等速度的 ，Oberek 呢则是非常比较流畅的快的这个舞曲，所以我们可以看到呢，这3种这个马祖卡的这个形式都在这个里面呈现了。我们知道呢，这个肖邦在晚年的时候其实是非常的不开心，或许我们简直不能用不开心来形容，他是悲惨的啊，是非常伤心的、悲痛的一个时期啊。那所以我们现在就来听听这2首曲子。那待会儿如果同学有问题，也欢迎请教老师。
Does anyone have any questions or comments or anything? Remarks?
各位有没有什么问题？
Actually, I'm thinking this is a very good opportunity to show us the basic steps of the first 3 types of this.
Okay, it's okay. I'm
老师，您说什么？就是类似王老师呢说，刚刚我们讲到3种马祖卡的形式嘛 ，Kuyaviak， 然后 Oberek 跟 Mazur。他想请问老师，是不是可以呢，再为我们多做一点详细的解说？
I'm very glad that you asked me that. And before I do that, I'd like to. It's a good opportunity. I want to play the Polish national anthem, which is Mazurka.
老师说非常高兴有这个机会哈，可以有这个问题。那现在老师要先谈一下波兰的国歌，它其实是一个马祖卡。
You get the idea of 1, 2. So this is not Kuyaviak is always the slow dance, but the idea is that it's a turning dance. So usually the men, the peasants, this is not in the city. This is not waltz is the city. This is countryside. So no streets, only mud and grass and, you know. So the men have big boots like this, and so, you know, the accent is on so you're dancing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's usually every second measure accent or waiting on 2 or 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The first piece I played. 1, 2.
老师说，从刚刚那个波兰的国歌，大家就可以听到，这个马祖卡舞曲，看它的重拍都在第2拍上面。然后呢，至于所谓的 Kuyaviak， 那它是比较慢的一个舞曲。然后老师说，它通常呢，它不是宫廷舞曲，跟波兰舞曲是不同的，它是乡村的舞曲。那这个乡村舞曲呢，它是回转式的啊，然后男生跟女生一起跳。那我们可以想象呢，它这个地上呢可能都不是很好的石板的这个木板的地板，而是呢可能是泥巴哦，有很多的草地。那男生呢都穿着高筒靴，然后刚刚老师也有示范他跳的舞步，就是每2个小节，他可能会在第2拍或第3拍上面做一个延长，然后有个奏音的表现。
So it's not every measure. So
并不是每个小节都是的。2个小节。
Okay, but that's the stand step. But you have to make, you know, see the important thing, Chopin, he wasn't writing, and he said, my mazurkas are not for dancing. It's, you know, like the cherries or the fish are not for eating, they're to look at, you know. The mazurkas, his mazurkas, and he said in the letter to us, they're not for dancing, they're for listening and thinking. So if I play exactly mazurka, pieces, I don't know if you remember, but it's really, I do it. And sometimes, you know, in classical music, then people think, I mean, if the student play that way, it sounds too rough or something, but it's part. So I'll show you. It was after the... It's a very special, it has, you know what's so beautiful, I think, about this dance is that at the same time, it has a lot of grace and a lot of masculine energy and, you know, very sort of determination or something, character, strong character. It's not just turning around, but it has a kind of sharp side. You know, it's like dum bum. You know, if you play that, oh, you know, why so big accent or something like that. But that's the character. So now sometimes you hear pianists, they play it's so just flat because it's not written that way. But you have to know how it's the character of the dance. That's my opinion.
好，所以老师刚刚呢就讲了啊，他说这个舞曲呢，我们刚刚讲的这些是舞步啊，但是实际上呢，肖邦在写给他的友人的信里面呢有说过，他说他写的这些马祖卡舞曲其实都不是拿来跳舞的，所以呢，这是一种意象，一种品味。一种风格，而不是实际上拿来跳舞的曲子啊，所以他把这个马祖卡的这个精神，还有它的本质融入在他的音乐里面，然后让大家来欣赏，然后去了解它，去深入它。那老师刚刚呢也讲到说，通常他们的重音或延长的地方是不同的，但是像刚刚那首曲子呢啊，在那一段这个就像有点像独唱之后的这一段呢，他就会故意把它做一样的地方啊。在同样的拍点上面，然后做重音跟延长。他说，或许有人会觉得不同意，但是这是他目前的一个想法。那我们必须知道呢，这些马祖卡的舞曲呢，基本上最重要的是什么呢？最重要的就是要掌握它的精神，掌握它的这个个性，掌握它的特性。他说，这个马祖卡舞曲在波兰的时候呢，他跳的时候是带着非常优雅的，但是是有男性阳刚之气的这样子的一个氛围，所以它不是只是轻轻的转过去，然后再转回来的那一种优雅哦。所以老师刚刚提他老师呢，他这个舞步呢，就充满了这个他说所谓的比较英雄式的气概啊，所以呢，它是优雅跟这个男性气概的混合，所以我们可以说是力与美的结合啊。
Does anybody have? Don't be shy.
还有人有疑问吗？不用客气啊。
Does this give anybody desire to play mazurkas?
这有没有给你们想要弹马祖卡的这种欲望跟想法？会吧？听了老师的演讲之后，应该是很想跃跃欲试啊，很想要弹的。
Yeah, actually, it's not about that. Before you start to learn how to walk, you learn how to dance, and is this true basically? And how to dance? I mean, this is you mean for founder or?
Okay, unfortunately, you know, the mazurka, now no one dances on the farm anymore because they watch television and iPad and so it's open. You know, we know how it's danced. it's, you know, you turn around 1, 2, 3, right? 1. So, it's turning around, but you stay, and it has this kind of movement. But people don't, well, it's sorry to, it's one of those things, it belongs to the past. People don't dance it only in opera spectacle. In Chopin's time. Even until my grandparents could do it. Huh?
It's called what kind of occasion?
Pardon me?
What kind of occasion it is?
Wedding or something, yes. Yeah, so, you know, and still operatic, you know, the fast one is the most popular because, you know, it's, and you have to, you know, do a lot with your feet like this. I'm not a good dancer, but my mother was a fantastic, my grandmother and grandfather were fantastic dancers. So I remember watching them, but you know, then television comes and everything, and so we sit and watch television and we don't know how. No, because it's true. You know, for better and worse, you know, we lose. I'm sure here is the same thing.
好，刚刚黄老师呢请教这位老师的问题呢，就是说，刚刚老师呢在演讲的时候有提及说，波兰人呢他们在学走路之前就先学跳舞了啊。那个黄老师的想请教说，是不是现在还是这样啊？那是不是只有局限在这个乡村的这个村民里面才做这样子的事情？那老师说呢，其实现在的这个波兰人啊，可能受到3C 产品的冲刺啊，所以现在呢，可能没有像以前这样啊，大家都学习这样的舞步。他说，但是他知道那个舞该怎么跳，而他的祖父祖母也是跳得非常的好，他妈妈本身也是非常在这方面呢跳得非常好的这个长辈哈。那他说在这个跳舞的时候呢，他就是掌握这些基本的原则。那目前可能很遗憾的就是没有融入在日常生活里面，但是在肖邦的这个时代它的环境可能是充满这样子的氛围的
Anybody have? Yes, please.
我想请问Wladkowski教授，如果在教学上要给学生马祖卡的话，有没有什么顺序、循序渐进的哪一个可以？如果学生不知道马祖卡怎么弹，哪一个比较简单，哪一个比较难，怎么样引导学生的曲目的顺序，有没有什么建议？
Yes. Yes, that's very. In my opinion, okay, this is my opinion. The three great pianists who performed and recorded mazurkas were Paderewski, Friedman, who was born in Krakow, in Poland, and Rosenthal. Maurizio Rosenthal, who was born in Lviv, and his teacher was a student of Chopin. And those three, Friedman, Ignacy Friedman, Paderewski, and Rosenthal. I listened myself thousands of times how they play mazurkas. And by the way, Horowitz also plays them beautifully. And one of the last pieces he played, recorded on his last recording, was the mazurka, the big one at the end, before the two short ones. That was one of the last pieces. And usually, Russian or Polish pianists, they feel easy with it. But Western, so I think that the good ones to start with are the beginning ones, Opus 6, Opus 7, And then actually the ones at the end, Opus 63 and Opus 67, they were written at different times and they were published at the end, but they're less complicated. Opus 63, and you know, there's one I think that it's beautiful. It's easy to play. Really, you can, they're easy, you know, they're not easy, but you can see what's so important, I think what's so difficult about it is that there's not a lot of notes, but the music is a lot of music, and so very often the people, they don't know what to do. They prefer to play a lot of notes and not a lot of music, you know, so if they think they're playing a lot of notes, they think they're doing a lot of something.
所以刚刚大家都有听到这个卢老师问的问题，好，那这个老师呢，就简单的先回答了一下这个，他说呢，就他认为到目前为止有入肖邦马祖卡舞曲的这些钢琴家里面呢，他最喜欢的是3个，也就是帕德列夫斯基，一个是费勒曼，一个是 Rosenthal， 其中第2个呢，费勒曼他是从这个 Krakow 来的 ，Krakow 是波兰南部的一个大城，它算是他们中古文化的一个保存的非常重要且完整的地方，他是从这个古城来的啊。然后另外呢，这个Rosenthal 他的老师则是以前被肖邦教过的，他觉得这3位的录音非常的好，他说他听他们的录音呢，听了上千遍了啊，他觉得大家如果有兴趣的话，也可以欣赏。那至于这个卢老师刚刚问的问题，就是说在学马祖卡的时候，是不是有一个进程，比如说哪些曲子可以先学然后掌握住之后再往下推进？他说呢，像作品6、作品7、作品63、作品67这几组是可以考虑的，因为作品63跟67虽然是后人几节成册才出版的，但实际上他们是在肖邦的不同的创作生涯里面所创作出来的，所以他们的形式还有内容比较单纯一点，没有那么复杂。
And I think, you know, I would try. Okay, I've been playing mazurkas all my life, and I've listened to a lot of people play mazurkas, and there's not one way, you know, and I think one of the beautiful things, if you're listening to the people, for example, Wladkowski or Rosenthal or Friedman, when they're playing, you get the feeling like they're improvising. And for me, it's very important when I'm playing these mazurkas, I'm not saying, oh, here I want to do this or that. I know what's happening in the music. And then when I sit, I play like my mood, you know, but I know what I'm doing now, but I'm not just, it's not just doing anything. But it's not, oh, here you must do da-da-da or something like that. These are, I think it's like cooking. You know, you want a little bit more spice, or you want, you know, some people like a little bit more spicy, some people like less spicy. Sometimes I like more spicy, and sometimes I like less. So, you know, sometimes, for example, I'll give you an example. One of the pieces, tell me when it's over, maybe. For example, this, in this piece, so middle part is mazurka, so you have if I played it just straight, it's so I have to play. So today I played not too spicy. So I played like very spicy. National anthem, you know. So, if you know these kind of rhythms, it helps, you know. But once you play, I think it's like a language. I'm always telling my students, you know, if in a language you know 500 words. The next 500 are easy. If you know 5,000, next words are very easy. If you know 10,000, so if you only know one Beethoven sonata, very difficult. But if you know 20 Beethoven sonatas, it's easier because the same with the mazurkas of Chopin. The more you get familiar with it, you feel, I know all of them. So I'm very, and plus the Polish music, and I just feel it's like my language. I'm home. Even if I forget, I put something that, no, this is very important, you know. If you know an actor, if he forgets something, it's okay. He says something else, but it's that he means. He doesn't. You talk to actors, they make mistakes. I make, you know, if you listen to the, you know, they're not, but it's the meaning is there. You're communicating the thought. If you, one note, this A flat instead of, it doesn't make any difference, I think, in my opinion.
老师刚刚呢就提到这个，他说弹奏马祖卡不是只有一种方式。它是有非常非常多种的方式的。就他来讲呢，弹奏马祖卡，有时候就觉得像是在即兴一样的了。他有这样子的性情，有这样子的个性在里面。他说，他有时候在演奏马祖卡的时候呢，要看他那一天的心情怎么样啊。他说，他不是说他不知道这里面的曲子在干嘛，他知道的非常清楚，这个曲子里面要讲的是什么东西，但是他会根据他那一天对他的这个感受，然后来follow，然后来呈现。他说，就他来讲的这个演奏马祖卡，有一点像是煮饭那个食谱是在这边食谱只是当参考用的。你在这个食谱上面，你今天想吃辣一点，你多加一点辣椒；你今天想吃咸一点，你多加一点盐巴。他说马祖卡对他来讲就是这样所以呢，这个在弹奏马祖卡的时候，他觉得就好像弹奏贝多芬索纳塔奏鸣曲，你如果只有知道一首贝多芬，跟你知道了20首贝多芬之后你来弹，是不是后者会比较如鱼得水？那像他对于马祖卡舞曲，他其实他全部都知道就他来讲，他就好像是非常的自然，因为这就是他的母语，所以他讲起来非常的顺口所以他觉得这是他的想法。那如果说有时候在弹奏的过程之中呢，有一点点不是那么照谱子那他就发挥他说就好像一个好的演员一个好的舞蹈家，你要说忘词了，我忘记那个走步了，那你在中间呢就可以加入你自己的想法。他说最重要的是什么？最重要的是要跟听众沟通，你到底要讲的想法是什么你的情感是什么？你对这个音乐的认知是什么？这是最要紧的。
Is there any other? Yes. Oh, you know, thank you. I wanted to say something. Thank you very much. You know, I don't know how many people here know that Liszt wrote a book about Chopin. And in his book about Chopin, you know, they met each other in Paris as very young men. I think they were, 25 or something, both. And Liszt said he never, in this book, he said, I never really understood Chopin's music completely until I went to Poland and I heard people speak the Polish. And it's because we know that the music, the way people write the music, it's each of us, it's very influenced by the inflection of the language and the melody of the language. I'll say something in Polish, but well, you know, Polish has something very special. The accent is always on the penultimate syllable, the one before the end.
刚刚呢，黄老师呢请教老师说，可不可以说一点波兰文给我们听一下啊，让我们体会一下这个波兰的这个气氛啊。这老师说这是一个非常的好的问题，他等一下会帮我们示范一下。他说讲到这个波兰，大家知道李斯特有写一本有关肖邦的书，我记得台湾是有翻译的，大陆人翻译的，叫做《李斯特论肖邦》啊，有出版啊，大家如果有兴趣可以看。那在这本书里面呢，李斯特就写了，他说他一直到去过波兰之后，他才完全的了解肖邦的音乐是什么。等到他到了波兰，他听了人家说话之后，所以我们可以知道说，其实呢，这个音乐的文化跟它的特质、特性跟语言的这个抑扬顿挫，还有它的重音都是有关系的。他说，这个波兰文通常它的重音呢都会放在就是倒数第二音节，跟意大利文是有像的哈。
Okay, so I'm going to say, okay, I'll say something and then I'll tell you what I said. Jestem głęboko wzruszony mieć tę okazję dzisiaj spędzić z wami chwilę przy muzyce Chopina i mówić o wpływach narodu polskiego w jego twórczości. So, translate. So I said I'm deeply moved today to have the occasion to be with you here and to talk about the creation of Chopin and the influence of Polish culture on his music.
老师刚刚示范的那一段波兰文，大家有感受到波兰的气氛哈。那他讲的那段话的大意，其实就是说，他非常高兴，也非常感激今天有这个机会，可以来跟大家谈谈的，这个肖邦的音乐及波兰的这个民族音乐的文化对肖邦的影响。
So. Thank you, Professor Sue, and thank you very much. You're just fantastic. Both of you are just fantastic. And thank you for being such a wonderful audience. And I wish everybody very, very much luck and happy life with music and rewarding life with music.
非常感谢朱老师哈，然后让他有这个机会跟大家分享。那希望大家呢，都能够快乐的跟音乐一起生活一辈子。谢谢。